Hey, HTDA, and welcome back to Mindustry. Because you guys requested it quite a few times actually by now, I'm gonna do yet another playthrough, and this time around I'm gonna take a stab at the second planet, or technically I guess it's the first planet because I started out on the newer one. But yeah, we're going to be playing Serpulo, and this planet has recently gotten a complete overhaul, so the entire campaign associated with it. I have no idea what to expect from this campaign other than the fact that I've been told that it's completely different from Eric here, which was kind of like a RTS campaign almost, and this is supposed to be a bit more of a factory building campaign. I don't know, let's dive in and find out. Okay, so I'm here on the first level, and this is probably going to be kind of a tutorial level, but I'm going to include it anyway because, you know, some of you might be joining in for the first time. So I can click on some of this ore to start mining it, and there's the interesting thing is that this flying unit can actually shoot as well, which is unlike the previous one on the other planet that couldn't actually defend itself at all. It wasn't getting attacked either, so I guess there's that. So we are going to go into the research tree, and we're going to unlock the mechanical drill. I already have that, yes. And then I can build one. And I'm going to place it on a copper patch. Oh, this is only tiny compared to what I'm used to. Okay, so let's place it over there. It is now not doing anything. Well, it is actually drilling, but it needs water. Okay, so research and place conveyors to move the mined resources from the drills to the... Oh, so we actually have conveyors now, not ducts. That's going to break my brain a little bit less. Okay, so even though it doesn't have water, apparently it is still producing. Let me check it out on the tree here for a moment. Okay, so we can boost it with water, but it will produce something anyway. And apparently it doesn't need power either, which is completely different from every single building on the previous planet. So we have that going for us. Now let's see what's next. Expand the mining operation, place more mechanical drills, and mine 100 copper. Okay, we can do that. Okay, well there we go, and I feel like I've already built more machines than I built in the first 3 levels or so of the other planet combined, and the fact that none of this requires any power is honestly quite refreshing. I don't want to complain about the other planet, but not having to build a 5 million power towers is definitely something I'm not going to miss. This is probably not optimized completely, but it will do the trick. This is producing honestly not that much copper per second. Each of these drills only has 0.3 going, so this is like, what, 4 per second or something like that. But let's see what is up next. We are going to need some lead. We need to drill up some more stuff, but in this case it's going to be lead. And there we go, that should take care of the lead. Now actually let me check some math. How much can a conveyor handle? 4.2 items per second, which is quite a lot less than on the other planet. However, this is only producing at a tiny speed, so it should be able to handle about, what, 12 of these mechanical drills. I have 6, 11, yes, this should be about one full belt. It's currently backing up a little bit, but that's because the belts were built after the buildings. But you can see I have a nice belt of, what was it, lead coming in. That's really nice. Let me think actually, the water boosting is going to boost by 2.5 times. The ratios are really weird. I'm not sure why this is, there's probably a reason for that, but yeah, about 2.5 times as much. But as you can see, I have a lot of this stuff flowing in now as well. Okay, so the map opened up quite a bit and we have a lot more resources over here. We have some water as well, so we can use that, I guess, to boost our production at some point. We have some derelict buildings over here that we can either destroy or maybe repair, I don't know exactly. And I also just forgot to record while I built our first 2 turrets. So we have those duo turrets over here that require some copper as ammo. So you can see I built some copper stations to make sure they're fueled. And now the game is telling me to build some walls. Now I also did some research in the meanwhile. We have a scatter tower as well. This apparently is an anti-air tower, but the duos are just all around. They will fire at anything. They can target air, they can target ground, and they can also take in 3 different kinds of resources, which is interesting enough. The copper only does 9 damage. We can get it some graphite. We'll do 18 damage. It will fire slower though, so this is something to keep in mind. And we can also get it silicon, which does a little bit more damage. But all in all, I guess this is the most important one, because this has a homing element to it as well. But anyway, that is in the future. For now, we're just going to have to do with some copper. And we can also build some copper walls. So let's see, we have the normal wall and we have the large copper wall. So, it's telling me specifically to build some of these walls around the turrets. So let's make sure we do that. And then hopefully we can trigger the next quest. This is the enemy drop zone. Yeah, okay. Anything built in the radius is destroyed when a wave starts. Yes, I know this. A wave will begin now. Get ready. Okay. So let's see how our turrets are doing. Oh, look. Look. They're tiny little humans. Robots? Oh, this one actually shoots at me. That is something to keep in mind. These enemies actually fire at me as well. Oh, which reminds me, I can actually fire back. There we go. Flying units can be easily dispatched with not easily dispatched with standard turrets, and this is where the scattered turrets come in. Excellent anti-air, but require lead as ammo. Okay, so let's go and build some of that. There we go, this should do nicely. I know the game only told me to build one of each, but well, 3 of them will do because I have so much resources anyway. I figured I might as well. Now, I actually got attacked by some air units the moment I completed the ammunition throughput over here, but yeah, I wasn't really expecting that, but obviously it went down really quickly, especially considering I have multiple turrets. I also built some extra duos, and I think we can just have the next wave coming over now. So let's see what this does. These units look kind of interesting, honestly. I might want to build another funnel, like I really need to remember I can actually be attacked now. But let's see how this works. Yeah, this seems to be actually doing not as well as I thought it would. I should probably build some more of these defense turrets because they're getting a little bit too close to getting through, in my opinion. So, you know, there might be a very good chance I'm completely over-designing this, but yeah, I'm just having fun building myself some more turrets. So let's see, those are air units coming in. They barely existed, but boy are those guys fast. I mean, I fear for my base, honestly. Okay, well, I'm working like intended. Let's have another wave. 3 enemies remaining. Just 3 of those dudes. I hope the sound is actually really good. I'm gonna check it after this wave, because all of this shooting might be a little bit on the loud side, honestly. Well, I think this defense line does the trick, so now I'm actually going to see if I can get some of these resources back to my main base, because if I learned anything from the previous planet, is that we're going to need all of the resources. Okay, there you go. Now it really feels like I'm playing a factory game. Look at all of this production, and this is just a tutorial level. So, yeah. It looks like we've been able to fill up our inventory quite well. And as you can see, we actually have a 3rd type of resource on top of the 2 we already have, which is the scrap that is on the floor here. Again, we can just drill it up like we can the lead and the copper. And I'm not entirely sure what we do with the scrap, because I don't think I have anything to unlock with it. No. This is silica. No. We do have the bridge conveyor. And speaking about bridges, by the way, look at this. We have an overflow, just like we've had before. But look at this. This is a belt with copper incoming and a belt with lead. And these things just cross. I don't know why on the other planet we had to do all those complicated things with bridges and things like that, while we had this all along on the first planet. Maybe this is new, I don't know, but this is so much easier than what we had to do on the other planet. Now, the last wave, wave number 8, was actually pretty strong, and it took out some of my buildings. No, I don't want to do that. Can I actually repair my buildings somehow? I don't know, but let's find out if wave number 9 is going to be a problem as well. Oh, well, step 1, don't kill yourself when the enemy is about to spawn. That would help. But let's see, we have only 5 enemies incoming. They are going to spread between these 2 places. As you can see, they are doing some damage to my walls. But yeah, not a problem whatsoever. And now we have captured the first sector. Look at all those resources already streaming into our home base, and this is just a tutorial level. And look at all of this production. I am so much looking forward to playing this campaign, because this feels like a completely different game, honestly, than the previous planet. And even though that was fun, this definitely feels a little bit more factory than the kind of RTS Air planet that we've done before. Anyway, let's continue on to the next level. So what's interesting about this planet, it seems like we can just go to any zone that we now have visible. But there's also a named zone over here, which I guess is the main quest line. Not entirely sure what to do about these planets. These might be the community-based maps that I think the update talked about including. Not entirely sure. But for now, I just think I'll stick to the main campaign levels, which means we're going to the Frozen Forest. Now, there's no description or anything like that, so we're just going to have to dive in. Huh, this is interesting. So we can actually apparently decide how many resources we're going to bring with us. Now, I currently just maxed everything out, but if I want, I can say, okay, let's just bring some less copper, for example, and then I guess store it in the other base. I'm not really sure why we would not want to bring the maximum amount, but yeah, maybe that will become apparent later on. At least it's a new mechanic again compared to Ericer. We are going to launch, and look at that familiar launch and lift off. And here we are on the next planet. Okay, so what's actually really interesting is that I can see the entire map already. Now what I don't know is where the enemy is going to come from, because apparently it's not showing that. I'm guessing it's going to be these three directions over here. But considering this is kind of a maze, I'm not entirely sure what path the enemy is going to use to come towards me. Probably in this just general areas where they will attack me, but it's kind of unclear, to be honest. But anyway, we can still pause and plan ahead. We have some lead over here, we have some copper over here, and apparently we have some coal in the corner here as well. So let's get a lot of copper up and running, because I basically need that to do pretty much everything, along with some lead, and then we can see where we set up our defenses after that. So I'm already loving how quick it is to set up all these basic production units in this particular planet. Only took me like 20 seconds of building to get all of this up and running, of course not counting the time it took me to place these down. But look at that, we have plenty of copper coming in, we actually also have some coal now coming in, which leads me to the research tree over here. So we still don't have the graphite, but we do have the copper and lead for the new things we just unlocked over here. So let's see, we have a ground factory, produces ground units, can be used directly or moved into reconstructors for upgrading, so we still need some silicon for that. So what else did we get? We have the graphite press over here. Okay, so this is copper and lead, and then compresses coal into graphite, so we definitely need that. And then we have the combustion generator, which is going to generate power by burning flammable materials such as coal. So I guess we're going to need to deal with power anyway, but that's okay. Let's focus on the graphite press first. In order to finish that, I'm gonna need some more coal and some copper, but we do have a fair amount of that flowing in now. So clicking that research just burned me through a lot of my resources, which actually makes me think that it might be better to set up a lot of production first before you actually start researching the new items. But then again, let me actually try something. Let's go to the planet map. Can we go back to the previous zone now? Because we couldn't actually leave zones that were under attack previous planet, but looks like we can in this planet, so not sure if this is a bug or this is intended. But if I can just sit around here, can I still access the research tree? Yes, I can. So I can just unlock this using all the production I have over here, and then go back to the other planet. That's honestly, it's a little weird. But hey, if it works, it works. Okay, so while I was playing around with making sure I got as many resources I could from the starter level into my main base, I actually got the message that we lost the base on the other planet, or the other zone, I mean. So yeah, you can't really cheat the science tree by going back, but at the same time you still kind of can, because I mean, the research is not going to go away, and as you can see, I was able to unlock a lot of different things just by going back for a moment, and we didn't really start the other level just yet. So it's a little bit back and forth, but if you want to make sure you're completely prepared before diving into a new level, you can do it this way. Okay, so before we dive back into the other level, let me show you what we've unlocked. So we have the graphite press, which is going to make graphite out of coal. We also have the pyrite mixer, which is going to mix coal, lead, and sand. I'm not sure where sand is going to come from, but we're going to be able to get pyrite from that. We also have the silicon smelter, which is going to refine silicon from sand and coal. So again, we need some sand to make silicon. And then over here we have the combustion generator, which is going to use coal to make power. Then we have a power node, which is going to connect power from A to B, I guess. And then we have the mender already. So this is going to periodically repair blocks. This is going to be massively useful for defense. It only needs power from the looks of it. It is going to take quite a while actually to repair anything, but yeah, we can make sure our defenses stay alive by using this. Now we also have the battery, which is going to have us be able to store up some power if we want. And then I think that was about it. So let's go back to the other level. Okay, so it took me a moment to get all the resources again to be able to launch, but there we go, and now we have a lot more research unlocked than we did before. The interesting thing is there's actually a lot of the stuff that we built before still available over here, and I can just select this and rebuild this by the looks of it. Huh. Oh, that's actually really convenient. Look at how fast this is all building up, and as you can see, we have pretty much all of our destroyed buildings back up and running within seconds after landing. Okay, so before we go any further, let's see, we have some coal in production now, and we have the graphite press unlocked, so let's see what this actually does. It's going to turn coal into graphite. We need 1.33 coal per second for a single one. I think I'm just producing about 2 over here, so that's actually a lot of graphite that we're going to be producing. Well, let's see, if we do this like so, and then we can have some routers over here, like this. And then we can delete all of this because this is no longer going to do anything. And you can export the graphite over here. Let's see. Oh, this is actually taking me a little bit longer to build, but that's okay. Let's remove all of that. And look at that. We are now plopping out some graphite. Why are you not doing anything? Let's see why this is not working. Okay, there we go. I fixed the problem by just moving the belt a bit further away, making sure it's a one-directional belt so it can't overload any of its production on this belt that's incoming. And as you can see, we have a steady flow of graphite incoming now. Well, the good news is I found where the enemy is going to drop. The bad news is I was actually building defenses in that same area, which is going to be quite pointless because they're going to be destroyed the moment the enemy lands. So yeah, we're going to have to kind of rebuild this somewhere else, but this is the general idea. We can use these choke points to make sure the enemy can't get through, and while we set that up, we can then just lean back and work on our base a bit more. Well, we have our first enemy incoming, and I built some basic defense, and it seems like the AI on this particular planet just wants to walk straight through walls, which honestly works for me, because I have a lot of defenses set up over here. They're still kind of stocking up on ammo though, but hopefully this is enough firepower to take this out pretty easily. Yep, there we go. Okay, so the second wave was identical to the first one, so no problem whatsoever either, and as you can see, I now have some more hefty defensives build up, and I also took care of some air defenses because I'm expecting those aircraft to come in any moment now, and now we should have plenty of air defense to go. For the moment, the enemy is still coming from this direction, so that will give me some time to build up the rest of my base. Okay, so I have a secondary graphite press facility over here, and I also connected all the overflow of my ammunition factories over here back to my home base. So I now have some additional copper coming in, I have some additional lead coming in. All of that should help me make sure I have enough resources to keep building, because honestly I'm bottlenecked on copper a little bit. We now have 2 units incoming, but yeah, that should not be a problem at all. What I'm curious about is if we continue to take the same path. The answer is nope. Okay, this is interesting. Let's see where they're actually gonna go. Well, for the moment it seems like they're going past my defenses, but yeah, they're now just actually trying to take the long way around, which is really annoying because I don't really have any defenses in that area. Well, I was able to take it down, but not before it actually reached my core, so this is really annoying because now I'm definitely sure I need to keep a path through my defenses in order to make sure I don't need to chase the enemy around the entire map. Okay, there we go. I built some corridors through my defenses, so hopefully that means the enemy will now choose to take that route rather than the whole long way around where there's no defense. I just didn't get around to building some, so I guess we're about to find out where they will take their path now. And they are still spawning in this corner. There's 3 of them now, so that's bad news to begin with. But let's see, are they going to go directly into my defenses? Yep, at least now we're back in business that way. And that means they're now getting a mass fire that while they're moving through my corridor, they were actually shooting at my base over here, which is a little bit annoying, but yeah, working like intended now. So the next wave is 4 units, 2 of the big ones and 2 of the smaller ones, and I've started to kind of make some additional defense. I tapped into the resources over here on the left, both for the air defense as well as the ground defense. And what I've also started to do is just put up some random turrets here and there, just because I can. My core actually almost got destroyed, so making sure I have some last defenses before anything reaches my base is probably a good thing. As you can see, I just have some splitters, or routers I should say, that are feeding into these turrets and making sure they're stocked up on some ammunition, and then hopefully that will be enough to make sure the enemy doesn't reach my base. Let's see if they are still intent on going right through the middle. Nope, of course not. No, now they're going through the side. Hold on. Well, let's see if they can actually hold off. Sort of. I'm building some emergency towers over here, as you can see. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see the enemies going in different directions all the time. Now, making sure I have some additional backup defense over here is going to make that a lot easier for next time around. But yeah, they're definitely keeping me on my toes. Let's see if we have any other drop zones. I still expect the enemy to come from this direction anytime now. But yeah, for the moment it seems to be okay. On the right side, I now also have the Scorch available to me, and I can apparently also unlock the Arc. So let's see what these 2 turrets are going to do for me. So let's put some of this coal to use and build a couple of these new turrets. So we have these Scorch turrets over here. It'll take a moment for the coal to actually get here, but once it does, they should take care of any enemies that once again try to go through the side path. Now, as a side note, it's really annoying that I have this kind of fog of war going on. As you can see, there's light around my vehicle, but not around any of my bases, which makes it annoyingly hard to see anything, but at the same time, there's no fog of war in this level, so I'm not entirely sure why this is happening, so let me know in the comments if you know how to solve this. And of course the enemies decide not to go through the main thing where I wanted them to go, and the fact that they can shoot over all of this terrain is kind of annoying as well. I should probably build a little bit of a wall here, but yeah, at least this is a corridor of death. In order to utilize the other tower, we're going to need some power, and we get that from the combustion generators. Now, what I really like is that all the buildings in this particular planet seem to be quite small so far. So I'm feeding this from 2 sides, and the smart thing about this is, at least I think this is smart, is that these are omnidirectional. So I can feed it from this side and I can feed it from this side, and if the router itself is empty, it will accept inputs from both sides, or either side at once at least. So this will make sure that all of these, even though they're in a row, are being optimally supplied with coal. Long story short, I think this is a nice way to do this if you insist on having everything set together. Now, we're going to need to get this power all the way to the front lines, and that is where these power nodes come in. Now, unlike the other planet, you can see this actually has a range and should receive and supply to all the buildings within this range. So this is really nice and easy to transport power all over the place, I think. So I can just set it up like this. Actually, before I do that, hold on, let's start by maybe doing something like this, and then having some batteries, because, you know, storing power is probably a good idea. And because this is a circle, we can do something like that. That's a lot of power, but how much power does this store? 4,000. So compared to the production of one of these combustion generators, which I think is only 60, yeah, so that's like a minute worth of power, a little bit more than that even. Okay, there we go. We have some of these arc towers over here now, and of course that means the enemy is probably going to go in a different direction. I am also walling off this production facility so I don't need to keep repairing it. We do get 7 enemies now, so we're definitely going to need those additional towers, but let's see where they're going. They are cooperating, so that's nice. I might need to rebuild these walls, and actually we have the mending building I should probably put to use as well. Yeah, well, at least the firepower is doing its job. So if I build a couple of these mender towers, they should start repairing the walls, I believe. Let's see if that's actually the case. Yeah, you can see them blinking and repairing. So that is working like intended. It actually repairs several blocks at the same time. Not sure if having multiple of these speed things up. I guess it will. But yeah, this is working like intended. Now I want to bring some of that over here as well, so I don't need to keep repairing these walls and these walls. So long story short, let's set some more up. Okay, so I optimized the defense a little bit. There's mending towers over here now. These are all in the range of repairing the walls, and the walls are still in range of defending against these turrets. So I actually put some turrets over here as well, because I figured, well, why not? Although I don't think this can actually reach anything, so that might have not been the best case. But if there's any flying units, at least they'll get some pot shots off. I've been starting to just build random turrets in so the supply line direction, basically, because, you know, why not? I don't need that space for anything else. And look at this, I really like this layout. So this is a lot of the normal turrets, along with some repair and power-based turrets, I would say. The fact that these turrets actually use like 200 power per second is a little bit worrying, but that's where these batteries come in, because remember, these are storing up the power while I'm not using it. So one of these batteries should be able to power a single turret for 20 seconds at least. So that should be more than enough to fend off the smaller waves we're getting for the moment. And of course, these waves are getting less and less small, so let's see if this is working like intended. They're still going through here, so that's fine, because this is where I have most of my defensives. Now these walls should hopefully be repaired quickly enough. They're still getting demolished. These repair units are not that strong. But yeah, this is good enough, so let's keep adding in the units. I should have probably checked if there were units coming from different directions, but I think we have all the defenses we're going to need for this particular level. So let's keep bringing on the waves. I think with these turrets, well, maybe I should actually add a couple more of these power-based turrets here, because, you know, there's no reason not to. And I do need to make sure I actually have enough of this copper coming in before I get a new wave coming, because otherwise these turrets are actually going to run out of fuel. And speaking of fuel, or I should say power, look at this battery bank over here. Not entirely sure this is useful, because, well, it will take quite a while for this to actually completely charge up, but, you know, it looks kind of fun. But look, we have a new type of a unit. These are really fast, and they are charging in. Let's see if they're any sturdier than their predecessors. Nope. They blow up just fine. The nice thing about these mending towers is that I can actually repair my core, so now it's not looking quite as dangerously low as it did before. Well, this wave isn't that powerful, and as you might have noticed, I managed to clear the fog, by the way. There's some settings in the game that allow you to set the atmosphere or something like that. If you turn that off, suddenly the fog is gone. So I'm not sure why you would want that on, but this is a lot easier to follow what I'm doing now, at least. Is it me, or are the waves actually getting weaker? This is a little bit random. Now we got two small guys in the 14th wave, so that's an interesting design. So let's bring on the next wave, and again, it's just two guys. This time there's two big ones, but yeah, not sure why the biggest waves were near the middle, but I'll take it. Now, we actually never got any enemies from these sides, so I built all of this for nothing, but yeah, at least we captured another sector. All in all, a pretty straightforward level, but again, it's just the second level of the campaign, and I'm really liking this particular planet so far. It's really easy and flexible to build stuff. There's not as much finicky stuff going on as it is in Erkir. Yeah, all in all, I'm really liking it. Now, I would have preferred it if not the buildings looked a little bit less similar. All of this looks very much alike so far, but maybe that will change in the future. Everything is really like orange, though, so could have used some different tints, I guess. But yeah, that's just me. Either way, if you're still here, you are awesome, and do hope to catch you in the next one.